OpenAI just dropped its new flagship model, GPT-5. And look, they're not calling this a simple update. They're framing it as a massive leap forward. So what's actually new? Let's get into it.
This quote from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman really is the perfect place to start. He's saying the jump from GPT-4 to 5 isn't just a small step up. It's a total shift in what it can do, like going from a smart college kid to a true seasoned expert. And that's the claim we're going to test all through this explainer.
So, August 7th, that was the day OpenAI pulled back the curtain on GPT-5. But you know what the biggest surprise was? It's available to everybody right now. Yep, even for users. That means millions of people are suddenly getting their hands on what OpenAI says is their most powerful model ever built.
Okay, so let's dig into that expert claim. OpenAI is throwing around phrases like PhD-level abilities. Those are some pretty strong words, but talk is cheap, right? Let's see if the numbers actually back it up. We're going to look at how it handles some of the toughest reasoning and math tests out there.
First up, math. And this isn't just any math test. This is based on the American Invitational Mathematics Examination, or AMI, which is a ridiculously hard high school competition. Now, just look at this chart. The bar on the left, that's the old model, GPT-4o. The one on the right is GPT-5 Pro. The gap between them is, well, it's huge.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. 100%. That's the score GPT-5 Pro got on this math benchmark when it was allowed to use coding tools. A perfect score. That's a first. No AI model has ever done this before. It's a massive milestone for AI reasoning.
But okay, what about thinking that goes beyond pure math? This chart here shows how it does on PhD-level science questions. And as you can see, GPT-5 Pro isn't just a little better than the last version. It's now leading the entire field, pulling ahead of its top rivals from Google and Grok. So that expert-level skill, it's not a fluke. It holds up.
Now, this massive jump in reasoning has huge implications for another critical area, coding. Sam Altman made this really bold claim that GPT-5 can write a software program from scratch and that we're entering an era of software on demand. That's a pretty wild promise. Let's see how it's supposed to work.
So the key idea you got to understand here is something called agentic coding. This isn't just about the AI suggesting a line of code or two. No. This is about the AI acting like its own little autonomous developer. You give it a task and it plans the steps, writes the code, tests it, finds the bugs, and fixes them, all by itself. It's the difference between a helpful tool and an actual agent.
And one of the neat new features that makes this all possible is that before it does anything complex, GPT-5 now explains what it's about to do and which tools it's going to use. For developers, this is a game changer. It gives you this critical layer of transparency and control, making the whole process feel way more reliable.
And the results? Well, they really speak for themselves. This is a test called SW Bench, and it uses real software bugs from GitHub to see how well an AI can solve problems. GPT-5 successfully fixed almost 75% of them. That score just sets a whole new bar for what's possible, blowing past even models that were built just for coding.
Okay, so it's smarter. It's a better coder. Great. But this brings us to one of the biggest, thorniest problems in AI, hallucinations. You know, when the model just makes stuff up. If this thing is really going to be an expert, then it has to be reliable.
And that's really the fundamental question, isn't it? As these models get more and more powerful, the stakes for being accurate get so much higher, especially when you're talking about important stuff like health or business decisions. So, did OpenAI actually manage to make GPT-5 more truthful? Just look at these numbers. This is from a benchmark that uses really tough medical questions to test for accuracy. GPT-4o, it had an error rate of almost 16%. Not great. GPT-5, it drops that all the way down to just 1.6%. That is a nearly 10-fold improvement in accuracy on a topic where getting it wrong can have serious consequences.
And this wasn't some happy accident. OpenAI came right out and said it. Making GPT-5 significantly less deceptive was a core goal for them. And that focus on reliability,
It's an absolutely critical step toward making these AIs tools we can genuinely trust. Now, with all these incredible improvements, it's pretty easy to think that GPT-5 is just winning across the board. But the AI race is incredibly tight and competitive. So let's zoom out for a second and get a more balanced look at where GPT-5 fits into the whole picture. Here's one area that, frankly, was a bit of a surprise, maybe even a disappointment for some. This table shows the context window. Think of it like the AI's short-term memory, how much info it can juggle in a single chat. And while GPT-5's 400,000 token window is a big step up from before, it's still way smaller than the 1 million plus tokens you get from competitors like Google's Gemini and Anthropic's Claude. And beyond the tech specs, there's just the sheer scale of who's using what. I mean, ChatGPT's user base is absolutely massive, but look at Meta AI. It has an equally huge audience, and that's because it's baked right into Instagram and WhatsApp. It's a good reminder that while OpenAI gets a ton of headlines, Meta's distribution makes it an incredibly powerful player in this race.
So far, we've talked a lot about benchmarks, specs, and numbers. But maybe the most important change here isn't something you can measure on a chart. It's about the feel of it, the actual experience of talking to it.
Yeah, this quote from the launch event just nails it. The sense is that the model now has a higher EQ, a higher emotional intelligence, to go along with its higher IQ. This idea that its answers have more rhythm, that they feel more personal, that's key. The responses just feel less like they were generated by an AI. And that shift in quality might be just as big a deal as any of the benchmarks we've looked at.
So what does this all add up to? Well, we now have a tool that is measurably smarter, way more reliable, and just more natural to talk to. It's an expert-level thinker, a coder that can work on its own, and a more trustworthy partner. The tool is here, it's in our hands. The real question is, what are we going to build with it? Thanks for watching The Explainer.